good point. I think the best way to test this is just whenever you guys have the truck parked, you can release the trailer brakes, and if you hear any leaking out here or any hissing, then your red airline is usually bad. But they're gonna look over the whole thing, so they'll look from here all the way to the truck side. So you really just want to make sure that you don't have any cuts or tears or rubs, no exposed wires on the second way. Once it gets down, so that you have this blue coating right here, and then it's going to be black rubber underneath that, and there's going to be white cords all the way through here. If you see white cords, then that's an issue as well. That's a DOT violation as well. So that's something you want to take a look out for. And then whenever we have these trucks in for PM service, we route these things a specific way that I guess Penske determined is going to be the best way for them not to get tangled up and snap off during jackknifing. So on this one, whenever we do it, we'll put yellow zip ties on it where it's supposed to go so these don't move around at all. But again, you're just looking to make sure that you don't have anything that's rubbing or taking through. Sometimes when you shift, and they can rub a hole into one of the airlines. And then when it comes down, you just make sure that it's actually dragging or rubbing on the fuel tank or not locking like that. And just making sure your focus rings are still good. Because again, these are just going to wear out over time. It's just how it is. So if you start getting worn out, so like if this one was jumping down like this, and it wasn't going back up, then that's something we can prevent. And just go ahead and come by the shop and we can throw a new one on there. That's pretty much it as far as the exterior side goes. Again, just make sure you don't have any fuel leaks or anything like that. And we can open the hood.
One day we have a marker light. We need to put
So the main things they'll be checking when they have the hood open is going to be any obvious signs of leaks. You can have some minor leaks, but what they're mostly looking out for is anything that's dripping on the ground. So if you have the truck running overnight or something like that, and you come out and you see like a puddle of oil on the ground or something dripping, any coolant, transmission fluid, or engine oil dripping on the ground, that's a DOT violation. Seeps and weeps are okay. So on Volvos, the main things that are going to start seeping out is going to be back over here on the valve cover. It's going to be just some minor stuff that's coming out. So like back over there, there's some seepage coming out. That's not something that DOT should be down for. But if it was that bad to where it was coming all the way down and dripping down on the ground, then that's something that they would give you a violation for. Another spot where you're going to hear some air leaks is going to be on your foot valve. These over time, just with the heavy use they get, they start leaking out. So you'll be able to hear some audible air leaks right here when you have the hood open. And then another one is usually your fan clutch and your fan clutch solenoid. Those will start leaking out here sometimes, or they won't actually cut off. So if you have the truck off, the fan shouldn't be moving at all. If it is, if you have the truck off after like 5 minutes or so, and this is just spinning, then usually you have air going to your fan clutch, and that's something that we need to look at and see what's going on. But it's just mostly just checking your engine oil, making sure that it's good and topped off within the hash marks. If it's still in the hash marks, it's still good. When it gets below the hash marks, that's when you come to the shop and so we can take a look at it and see what's going on. And with the hood open, again, you're looking at the inside of the tire to make sure there's nothing, you don't have a wheel seal leaking. Again, it'll be all over the inside of this tire, and it'll be on the wheel as well. And then your brakes, it's kind of hard to tell on these ones, but just making sure nothing's loose, something's backing off. Don't be afraid to grab it and make sure it's not moving around. Since these are service brakes, if you grab this brake chamber and you move it and you hear some movement, that's fine because these aren't actually applied right now. So these are just service brakes. So the only time your steer axle is going to be activated is whenever you have your apply the brakes, the foot brakes, I should say. But again, you're just making sure nothing's loose. You don't have any shocks leaking. Grab your shock and make sure it's not loose or anything like that. Usually on these as well, you can see the nuts starting to back off, some rust build up around the nut and bolt. But yeah, check in your engine oil level, your power steering fluid level. On the Volvos, it's going to be this stick right here. So just make sure you're topped off and good. What this one is. And then you go to the other side. Over here, you're just making sure that you have plenty of coolant in here. And this is on there tight. It's between the min and max. And just making sure there's no, on the coolant side, you're just making sure that there's no fluids coming out. But sometimes with these Volvos, the biggest issue is going to be these overflow lines right here. Whenever these go bad, they get brittle just from the heat cycling or fuel cycling. And then they get brittle and they'll either break off right here or up there at the tank itself. So you just want to keep an eye on those and make sure they're not leaking out any fluid. If you start seeing some like red residue around these fittings right here, this one right here, and then you have two over there on the tank itself, and then the one on the driver's side, it goes back into the radiator. If you start seeing some red color around that usually tells me that those are about to fail. So to avoid a breakdown, if y'all see that, then I would take it to the shop so we can take a look at it and see what's going on. Or hey, I got these overflow lines and they're starting to look like they're leaking. It's just a picture so we can verify, and then we can order them and bring it into the shop. And then these are all your coolant lines for your. Don't have. Okay. So these are your coolant lines that go back to the APU. So you just want to make sure that these clamps are tight and you don't have anything leaking out of here. And then these go all the way back to the APU over there. And then again, you just want to make sure everything's tight, everything's secured, nothing's loose. That's one of the things that we're looking out for, is make sure everything's tight and secured. Yeah.
So you have any leaks with the APU, just cut the water, right?
Yeah, so if you have like just coolant leaking out over there, you guys can turn these valves off until you guys get to a shop, so then we can look at the APU. Because the APU runs off of the truck coolant. So in the wintertime, if you guys have been stopped for a while and neither one has been running, and you turn the APU on to heat up, it might take a little longer because it has to heat up all the coolant in the truck and for the APU.
Mine doesn't have a heater.
Yeah. So if you guys run the APU like in the wintertime, and the APU is running, they don't keep the coolant hot overnight as well. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much everything on the outside of the truck. The other thing you want to take a look out for is your fuel water separator. Just making sure that this is not above this red line right here. Once it gets to this red line, that's when we want to replace that fuel water separator. Once it gets up there, then you might start having some potential issues with rough starts or any fuel issues. It's not going to down the truck, but it's something. Hey, my gap fill bowl is what we call it. My gap fill bowl is full, and we come in there and we swap it out, put a new one in there, and then.
But I know with the
the fuel filter is on the other side.
yeah. So maybe there's a difference. But there's something the color indicates the inside, but it's the same arrow, the same color for the picture. So that's what I know, but I What is the other two, the two filters?
The fuel filter is on the other side.
On the other side.
Yeah.
So there's two filters, right?
Yeah, so that's the fuel water separator. So your fuel will go there first. It'll go over here to your fuel filter. I think there's 2 or 3 holes with this.
Only the filter inside, trying to cool it, or have to be protected more?
Oh, the whole thing. These ones are just the metal ones. So it's not a canister. It's just a regular spin-on filter.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the last thing really is going to be your belts. Make sure they're not frayed or dry rotting and like that. If they start getting frayed or you start seeing it, what you're really going to see is you're going to see some fraying on the edges. If you start seeing some fraying on the edges, and that's something that we need to take a look at. Either there's a potential issue with the alternator, the AC compressor, or a belt tensioner. So if you start seeing some fraying, notate it and then take it to a Penske, and so you can take a look at it and see what's going on. Some like fraying on the side of the belt.
Oh, frayed. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So if it starts fraying on the side of the belt,
yeah.
I would take it to a shop as soon as you can, because once those belts go out, then you're not charging your batteries, you're not getting the AC, and then if your main one goes out, then you're not cooling the truck properly either. So, but that's pretty much everything under the hood. The last thing is going to be everything in the cab.